The original Prince Jr. has been involved and been a part of the fabric and tapestry of Jamaican reggae music ever since the 60s, in his early teenage years growing up in downtown Kingston, Jamaica on Charles Street. Today we will sit down with Prince Jr. as he shares with us that history. They say give a man his flowers while he's still here. Prince Jr. being my dad, this is my way of giving him his flowers, by celebrating his contribution that he has given to the Jamaican reggae scene. So sit down with us, join us, all our vibe. It's a musical list to flick my wrist to make you jump and twist, as I would say. Music!
Yes, because we heard a lot of Nat King Cole, Platters. Those were the people. Frank Sinatra, yeah, like that. Drifters, Benny King, you know, to name a few. Yeah, Impressions. Curtis Mayfield was a big influence on a lot of Jamaican artists.
Curtis Mayfield, the Impressions.
The Impressions, yeah, and. You know, and then when they in the dance halls now, when they started making music, they were copying a lot of the American music, you know, because that's how they started out, you know, and then locally, you know, we had a dance called the quadrille thing, mento, you know, that used to be happening all over in Jamaica.
That's like what now?
It's like a quadrille is more like a folk dance.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you know, yeah. So they used to, the women would dress up and do-si-do, like a thing like something like that. You know, when you go to dance with a woman, you have to bow, and she curtsy before they start dancing around and they go around in circles and like that.
Quadrille.
Quadrille.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, when did you realize that music was your calling? When did you first realize that?
I knew that right after that. As soon as I have sense and could know, you know, I've been listening to the music. There was a radio fusion in a barber shop right in front of my house, where I grew up, and a piano shop called Mackenzie Brothers Piano Shop. Mackenzie Brothers used to refurbish pianos. Okay. So I used to see how they refurbish, pull down a piano right down to scratch and put everything up, build up the action and make the glue, boil the glue. Back then you used to have to boil the glue to glue down the ivories and the keys. You had to make the keys and all like that. Okay. Yeah. And there was a radio fusion playing in that barber shop, and it stayed on all the time. As long as the radio fusion sign on, we would hear it, and it was blasting. So whether you want to hear it or not, you're gonna hear it.
You're gonna hear it.
Yeah. And when the shop closes and they gone home, you know, it's still on, blasting. So that's how, you know, I became, you know, where I love music. At first, I didn't really care for everything that I was hearing, because, as you know, music is a taste, and when you're young you don't really know the difference of certain things, but certain songs I really like, you know, and but when you get older you get to appreciate the songs that you did like back then, you know what I mean? Yeah, I know the value of it, yeah.
So nice. So were there any artists particular that you maybe that influenced you or that you looked up to, artists or musicians coming up, that you really liked, that really hit you, like, you know?
Well, back then, when they started recording in Jamaica, Eric Montemorris was one of my favorites. When Samson was the strongest man, that song really, you know, I really liked that one. So Prince Buster was right on Charles Street there, where I was.
Okay.
So Prince Buster, he had some kind of an influence, I'm sure, because that's where I get the name Prince Jr. Was influenced by Prince Buster.
Okay.
Okay.
That was my next question. Where did you get the name Prince Junior?
Right. Yeah. That's how that came about. But because when Prince Buster was singing back then and recording, and of course he recorded a lot of other artists, you know, like Derek Morgan and them as well. But when he would make songs, all the people in the neighborhood used to laugh at Prince Buster and say, but him can't sing.
Yeah.
Yeah, they used to say that, you know, say him can't sing. You know, the neighborhood people, it's like an inside joke. Everybody would say, like, him can't sing. But at the same time, you know, he was putting out a lot of songs and some of them were hits, you know. And when he break out with the one called Wash Wash, Wash Wash kind of turned the tables for him and put him on the map big time international, and everybody know about, you know, Prince Buster. That
was his first big tune.
Big tune. Yeah. I mean, he did a lot of other songs that was catchy, you know, and whatever. But the Wash Wash was everywhere.
Right.
Yeah, that was the big one everywhere.
Take me across and wash all my troubles away, like that lucky old sun. Give me nothing to do but roll around heaven all day. So don't you hear me?
On Charles Street, because he used to do jukeboxes and stuff too, right? And my uncle and my grandfather actually they were living on Charles Street, and the shop that was originally where Prince Buster was on Charles Street was my uncle's son, right? He had his sound system in there, so he was also a big influence on me with music, right? Son and Tom the Great Sebastian as well, because Tom used to put out his speaker on Charles Street and play music outside of his hardware store locally on Charles Street, you know, so we used to hear music everywhere. The Charles Street was a music place, you know, just like how they call Orange Street, Beat Street. Yeah, well, in the early years before they even said that, I think Charles Street, you hear music left and right there, you know. Yeah. So then, when my uncle moved his system and went down Princess Street, the shop that he used to keep the sound system equipment in, that became Prince Buster's shop. After he did the song Wash Wash, like I said, and it break him out and he made money and whatever, he decided to build up right across the street on Charles Street. He started building up a building where he was going to move the shop, store his jukebox, and also put a recording studio over there. But before he could fully open up the record store over there, then other people who were on Orange Street were saying, anyone that's not on Orange Street, we're not saying anything. So he said, okay, oh yeah, and he just scrapped that and went around Orange Street, and the yard that he used to live in, I'm thinking that his family probably owned that yard, and he just started building up around here now, and then he put his shop on Orange Street. Yeah, he put his shop on Orange Street now, and then he made two songs, one called Shaking Up Orange Street and one called Shaking Down Orange Street. One was an instrumental and one was a kind of a DJ, Prince Buster. Yeah, you know. So that's how Prince Buster came on Orange Street, because originally he was on Charles Street.
On Charles Street, right.
Right. And Orange Street is Beat Street. There is a lot of record stores on Orange Street, from Beverly's, you know, come right down JJ's. Clancy Eccles was down there. I think Success was down there somewhere. Bonnie Lee them come on Orange Street as
Striker.
Yeah, Striker Lee.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think Winston Riley was down there too at one time.
Okay.
Yeah. But, you know.
But you were young at that time, so were you too young to go to one of the dances for Uncle Son, or you were still there, or?
Well, at that time, when sounds like Coxsone, Duke Reed, Tom the Great Sebastian, Sons Jr., you had Lord Coos, you had Count John the Lion, you had one called Mighty Viking, you had King Edwards. Those were basically the foundation ones that from when I was too young to go.
Okay.
Later on, when I could go, then you had other sound systems like Sir George the Atomic coming that I noted, Sir Daly's, Emperor Fate, El Turo, El Paso, Prince Patrick, Tipatone, until eventually I started playing Tipatone sound.
Okay.
Yeah.
Before Jawaz.
Yeah, long before Jawaz, yeah. Because when Tipatone started out, there was a guy named Clive used to play Tipatone, and Clive got killed.
Oh.
And after Clive died, then Wang Chu took over.
Oh.
And being as Wang Chu was a good family friend, and me as a young youth, love music and love the sound thing, and at that time I was playing TNT's disco. A guy called Tony Chinlai funded it. That time I was going to KC, right? And he funded that little disco. And then Gussie Clark wanted to, like he was in our group, and he I guess he liked the idea, and he decided to build an amplifier and have his own sound system.
Okay.
And I was the selector for Gussie Clark's as well as TNT's. And then Tipatone was a bigger sound system than ours now. And I started following with Wang Chu now. And being as Wang Chu was a close friend, he used to allow me to play.
Okay.
And whenever he wants breaks, he would go take his break to dance or to smoke his chalice or whatever he wants to do. And I would play.
Okay.
Until eventually I become part of that system. And later on, Wang Chu and Fingerman fall out. Fingerman is the owner of Tipatone Sound, right? And they fall out. And then I was the sole player of Tipatone. Not for very long, because shortly after that, that was like in 71, and early 71, and I left Jamaica the last of April 1971 to go to New York.
Whoa, way, whoa, hey, hey, whoa, yo, yo, oh gosh, whoa, yo, yo. Whip them, Jah, whip them for I. Whip them, Jah, boy, they telling lies. Whip them, Jah, please whip them for I. Whip them, Jah, boy, they telling lies. Doing all the wrongs they doing. Rasta's name. Said every little thing they do, Rasta. Get the blame, so with them, Jah, please with them for I. With them, Jah, boy, they telling lies. Jah, with them for I. With them, Jah, boy, they telling lies.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah.
So yeah, bring us back to Dennis Brown. I wanted to ask, tell us where you first met Dennis Brown and the relationship that you guys had.
Okay, well, Dennis Brown used to live in the big yard of Orange Street, and that's a yard that it goes from, there's a gate in Orange Street and there's a gate in Luke Lane, right? Now, when I used to live on Charles Street now, there were some people on Charles Street that live in my yard that had family that live in the yard where Dennis Brown lived, in the big yard.
Okay.
So, yeah, and then also there's a man up there that used to make flowers, a big brown skin man named Sonny. He used to make like wedding bouquets and funeral wreaths and all like that. And my mother knew him because she kind of learn that type of thing, to do that thing from that man. So we used to go up there, and that's how we meet with Dennis still. Yeah, until one day in late 1970, somewhere probably around in December or so, I saw him on Charles Street and Orange Street, and I said to him, Dennis, you know, that time he just did the song No Man Is an Island, and on the flip side of that was I'll Never Fall in Love Again. Yeah, and I used to play those songs on Tipatone and all the songs that I used to play. And I saw him and I said, Dennis, you know, I want to do a song. You know, I want to do a song. And he said, yeah, all right. So he said, meet me here the next day. So I met him the next day at Orange Street, and we went up to Studio One, and he took me to meet Coxon. Now, when I went up there, I actually wanted to sing, because I knew I could sing, and I was, you know, I used to sing by myself, but as soon as somebody come in, I would stop. I don't make nobody hear me singing. You know, that kind of vibe. Yeah, but DJ, as far as that goes, I don't know anything about DJ. I just know about selecting music, you know. But when I went to Coxon, being as I used to play sound all around, Dennis knew that, you know, and when we met with Coxon, he said, this is my friend, you know, and he wants to DJ a song. So when he said that, I was surprised, because I never tell him I want DJ. I never said I want to sing either, but I never said DJ. I just took it for granted that he's singing, he must think I want to sing too. But he said, no, my friend, you know, and he want to DJ a song. So Mr. Dad looked at him and says, Dennis can DJ. And then he said, yeah, man. You know, like, you know, if I hear me DJ. I don't know nothing about DJ, you know. And he said, all right, take him over and make Morris see what he can do. So he took me back in the studio. Mr. Morris, Sylvan Morris, was the studio engineer at Studio One at the time. And he said, all right, which song you want to do? So I said, okay, I want to do No, 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 Dan Penn song. Okay. So he played the song, and I went to the studio, No, 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 and it's playing, and I'm trying to, yeah, whoa, yeah, like, because at the time, Uri and Scotty were the two DJs that were out there at the time that were doing so, and I think Dennis Al Capone had just started out too, on record. And so I tried to kind of imitate them somewhat. And after we did that, Mr. Morris went home, and this was like about 5 o'clock in the evening, 5:30. You know, Mr. Dad and myself was the only ones left in the studio. He would come around and he'd say, come listen to what I was doing. And he listened to it, and he said, you know, I like it, but, you know, your voice, you have a nice clear voice, I like it. You know, and I have a #1 song here that I want you to do. But here what you do for me, go home and make up a little story and come back tomorrow. So I said, okay. I said, give me a copy of the record. And he gave me a copy, and I went home and I made up a little story. And the next day when I was going back now to the studio, I called, I go link up Gussie, because he was on Church Street right around the corner from me, and we were good brethren. Every day we see each other, because I used to eat dinner at his house every day, and then come home and eat my dinner again.
Oh, Gussie?
Yeah, Mr. Rob, yeah, you know. So I link him and tell him, say, yeah, you know, I'm going to do a song, you know, I'm going to go up to the studio. And he said, okay, and he come with me. So that was the first time Gussie Clark was going to ever go into a studio, or Studio One, when he went with me to do that song. And before I go in the studio to do the song, he said, Junior, he called me Joe, he said, Joe, he said something about the song, King Gussie said something, you know. So I said, okay. So on the spot now, while I'm in there and I'm DJing the music now, you know, I get the inspiration one at a time, just before the song ended, and said, don't be fussy, keep it skanking to the man King Gussie. You know, so if you hear the record, you'll hear that on the record. Okay. You know? Yeah, so that was the first time. Yeah.
Freddie McKay.
Yeah. Picture hanging on the wall, that's the song. Yeah. And then we did that song.
hanging on the wall. Yeah, Brody left the picture hanging on the wall, and that I don't want to see it there. Good God, you left your picture hanging for right to see, and baby, to my life what things used to be. One time, in this musical disc called Motion Tree, I tell you about that capture that's not free. Yeah, the DJ play all day, every day, still hanging on the wall. Real exclusive, I tell you, 'cause it have to be there, still hanging on the wall.
We got done now because before then I was not Prince Junior.
Oh.
I was just Junior.
Okay.
Nobody don't know. I don't have no name besides Junior. I look a half China boy will play the sound.
That's
you
it.
know. That's
Okay.
it. Yeah. So yeah, because I even go to race course that time. Yes, Euro Circle back then. Race course we call it.
Mhm.
Yeah, and playing soccer, playing football with them boys over there. And yeah, I look at one man rush me hard way and tackle me a little way. And all of a sudden I see the next man say, "What you doing now?" And I you they play tipper. And then we go say man who say, you know,
Right,
we start again fame already.
Okay.
You know, people know say, "Watch it," you know. Yeah. And
So the fact that you didn't have a name yet, what name did
so
Mr.
that's
Dad
how
put on?
that's how we decided now to he said, "Well, you want a name you want to put?" And right away Prince Buster pop in my head and I just said Prince Junior.
Oh, okay.
And that's how Prince Junior came, and from then on I was Prince Junior.
Okay.
You know, but then right after that I left, you know, I left Jamaica a few months after that. And so I was never known in Jamaica as Prince Junior or as anybody. The people hear the song and don't even know who do the song. Because I even go back there and Jatama said, "Yeah, me know that song, but me never know say you do it." All them things. You know what I mean? Yeah, but when I did that, I was like, just before I turned 16. I was 15, almost 16, because my birthday is in January. So, you know, just around my 16th birthday.
Oh, okay, you was young.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and then I did it and came to New York, and then everything went stagnant from there. But before I left too, also Mr. Dad liked what I was doing so much that he wanted to give me a sound to play, one of his sound to play, because Mr. Dad have many sound systems.
Studio One.
Yeah, the sound system, big sound, and then when it scaled down to disco, because in the 60s, yeah, like around, I would say around, by around 67, somewhere there, late 66 to 67, the big sound, where you just have the big house of joy, box and thing and like that. Police were going around and mashing up all those dances. You understand? Because they said they're too loud, they're too nice and this, that and where. So then the big sound man them start scale down and get to a little. So that's how the name discotheque come in now, when them say them have a disco now.
Okay.
And that's how come I fall into the disco era now, with King Gus's disco, TNT disco, Tipatone is actually a disco, Sir George had a disco too. You understand? Everybody scaled down. You understand? Yeah. So that's how that came about. You understand? Yeah.
So what was it called before disco? Like the sound names? Like, you know, you have international, you have disco, you have.
Well, originally before the phrase was coined as sound system.
Right.
It used to be hi-fi.
Hi-fi, right.
Yeah, because back then you'd have a system named what name again? Something like that hometown hi-fi. Just slip me now. But I remember before the interview.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm glad you said that. You point that out, because this new generation don't even know where that come from. Because you have hi-fi and then you have lo-fi. So you have a genre of music that just came out. They call it lo-fi. They don't know it's not lo-fi, it's lo-fi as opposed to hi-fi. So
yeah, because hi-fi is actually high fidelity.
Right.
You understand?
Right.
Yeah. So before people were making amplifiers in Jamaica, and they buy foreigner, everything is hi-fi. Them deal with it. They have a hi-fi. Yeah. The kind sound system was kind from Tom the Great Sebastian.
Oh.
You
Okay.
understand? Yeah, because there was a man called Headley Jones.
Okay.
Right, who built the first amplifier in Jamaica, the first homemade amplifier in Jamaica.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Headley Jones.
Headley Jones.
Okay.
Yeah, and his son, yeah, John, was one of the man them who built Uncle Son amplifier, the
Okay.
second amplifier.
Right.
You understand?
Right.
And then his son John is the one who also teach a brother named Denton, who is in Jamaica right now.
Okay.
Who is the man who set up all Stone Love sound them and all them big sound there. Denton do it.
Oh, okay.
You understand? So it coming down from Headley Jones.
Headley Jones. Oh, okay.
Coming down the line like that.
I think one of those guys came to your birthday party, right?
Yeah, that was Denton.
That was Denton.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was Denton. Yeah,
Nice.
and then Denton recruit another guy down there. His real name is Alfred Booth. I went to school with him too. Yeah, you know, and it goes on, you know. But there were other people doing amplifiers as well. But those Headley Jones was the godfather for that.
Okay.
You
And
understand?
Amplifier changed the game.
Change the game.
Right.
Yeah. And how the term coming now is that Tom was playing out one night up King Street, and Headley Jones built the amplifier because he was in England, and that's where he learned. He was in the service and learned to do radar thing and whatever like that, and that's how he learned some of that technology. And then he decided to build things. He was like an entrepreneur, because he was the one who built all electric guitar. Headley Jones built and all them
From
stuff
scratch.
before all Les Paul and them people, you know.
Okay.
You understand? Yeah.